What's up guys, Universal Mastery. So what I'm doing in today's video is I'm breaking down the occult sciences to an extremely practical level so that you can use them in your day-to-day life and get real actual results. So what I'm doing in today's video is continuing on the archetypal series. So what I'm going to be talking about in today's video specifically is the archetype of the hangman. So what are the influences, the attributations, and some of the challenges that you will experience when you take on the archetype of the hangman. And if you want to learn a little bit more about the archetype of the hangman and the tarot card of the hangman, then definitely stay tuned for the rest of this video. Okay, so the first thing I want to say is definitely make sure you go and you check out my Patreon. On my Patreon, I have exclusive content. So half of that content is going to be geared towards actual practices. So I have step-by-step breakdown videos of how to do actual spiritual practices. So things in the nature of chakra empowerments. I have a step-by-step breakdown video of exactly how to do an invocation. And I have some specific types of, you could say, rituals and meditations that I break down on camera, and I show you exactly how to do them so that you can get results from them. Okay, so half of the videos are going to be geared towards that. Then the other half of the videos are going to be geared towards educational entertainment, which is very similar to a video like this. The video is entertaining, and yet at the same time you're also getting a lot of value. So where you're going to be able to find my Patreon is when you go to the description. It's going to be literally the first link at the very top. And in order to gain access to the exclusive videos, you have to at least be a tier 2 member or up. So in order to be a tier 2 member, it literally costs $9.95, and that's a reoccurring payment. And if you do the math, that literally comes out to less than $1 a day. So there's really no reason why you shouldn't be able to afford that with the value that's being offered on there. And also what I put on my Patreon is I do live streams on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I do live streams on YouTube, and then I end up taking those videos off of YouTube and I upload them to my Patreon as well. So you're gonna have access to a whole vault of live streams that I've done on YouTube where I'm engaging with people, asking questions, and I'm giving lectures. So yeah, so that's where you're gonna be able to find it. And as you go up in tiers, the benefits go up as well. So I'm going to let you check that out for yourself. And I want to give a special shout out to the top tier members already of the Patreon. Their names are going to be mentioned in the parentheses right below that link. All right. So other than that, let's go right into this video. So here we go. So this is path 12. So once again, for those of you that are new, jumping right in right now, make sure you start at the very first path. It is the archetype of the Joker, and it says path 0. I put in parentheses, start here. Start there and work your way up, going from path 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, etc. Okay? Start there. All right, going into this, this archetype of the hangman and this path. So this is a path on the tree of life. This is something that you will eventually walk down if you are becoming an initiate. This is something that you will take on, and the reason why you're going to take this energy on, the reason why you're going to come face to face with this archetype is because it's a learning experience. You can learn a lot from it, and you're supposed to learn a lot from it. All of these different archetypes are meant to teach you certain things about life and certain things about yourself through direct experience, direct energetic contact with these energies. All right, so this is path 12, the path of letting go. The way of new perspective. The qualities: letting go, stagnation, the quiet before the storm, sacrifice, mysticism, ocean and water, surrendering to the higher self, dealing with suffering, punishment, feeling stuck or dependent. Okay, the description: this path unifies severity and splendor. Okay, so that is going to be on the tree of life. So we have, let's see, severity and splendor. So severity is going to be Gavura, and then splendor is going to be Hod. So this is the path on that tree of life that connects those two spheres together, path number 12. So if you want to know what I'm talking about, you can go on Google right now and look up a picture of the Kabbalah tree of life, and you will see the different spheres, and you will see that there's a pathway that goes in between them. And that's number 12, which is severity to splendor. Gavura Tahod. Okay? Alright, so this path unifies severity and splendor. Anyone walking here must learn to surrender to higher forces and trust their psychic intuition. Find the splendor in the hardships of life. It will demand that you relinquish old beliefs and behaviors. Sacrifice your ego and let go and flow with the Tao. New perspectives and ideas abound. Try changing the direction of your bed. Move some furniture around. So, something you have not done before. Since this path marks the lower and more practical half of the left column, acting on all new information and instincts is also vital. Stay alert to the path's mother lode of psychic energy, telepathy, precognition, and ESP. Okay, so the psalm for this path is going to be, how sweet are thy words unto my palate. Okay, the affirmation of this archetype of the hangman is going to be, I accept all my challenges knowing they are my greatest teachers. I grow by letting go and surrendering to a higher power. Okay, astrological aspect is going to be planet Neptune, the ruler of Pisces. Okay, and the tarot card is obviously going to be the hangman. So the hangman symbolizes a need to see the world in a whole new way. The card shows a man hanging upside down from a tree, the tree of life. By examining the world from a radical different vantage point, one discovers all sorts of new ideas, images, and perspectives. This card suggests that we sacrifice our ego, our usual habits, and give ourselves up to higher ideals. The challenges that you're going to experience and that you're going to feel when you start walking down this pathway are going to be, okay, you ready? These are going to be real life challenges that you will experience. Taking on this energy, walking down this path, initiating through this path, feeling this archetype of the hangman. The challenges are going to be dependency and codependency, a tendency to remain stuck in destructive situations and relationships, escapism, gullibility, daydreaming, a problem differentiating between reality and fantasy. Okay, the Hebrew letter is mem, which means water. It is one of the three maternal letters along with aleph and shin, which correspond to the three elements, water, air, and fire. Life started in water. It is the most common element on the surface of our planet. Water flows resisting nothing, pouring easily around anything that stands in its path. Okay? So yeah, so that's it, guys. That is the path of that is the path of the hangman right there. So yeah, so you know, definitely all that stuff I read off is very accurate. Now let me explain to you a little bit of how this manifested in my day-to-day life right around this time when I started walking through that pathway. So at this time, this is literally right when I had left Equinox. This is right when I had left it. And I remember, like, I had no job. I had no job. I was living in Miami. I had a roommate. I had to pay rent and all these things, but I had no job. I had just left Equinox, and it was like everything that I had, because I had worked really hard to get the job at Equinox, and it was like my entire world was getting flipped upside down. But I know I needed to leave Equinox. I know for a fact. I listened to my higher self. I listened, and everything just worked out into me leaving. So I wasn't questioning, was it a wrong idea for me to leave? I was already certain about that, but I left and I had worked really hard to get that job. So in my reality, in my world, my whole life got flipped upside down. And I had to re-find, why am I here? I had to ask myself questions about my purpose and about my soul. I had to say, what am I here to do? Now that I have this free time, now that I'm not working the job that I had spent so much time to get, and you know, a lot of time and energy to see myself being successful there. Now that I'm not working there, what am I supposed to do? What is it that I'm supposed to put my energy into? And once again, this is around the time when I literally started building my YouTube channel. So I would go to the library, I would just be there for a couple hours, and I would be studying how to make a successful YouTube channel. how to do thumbnails, how to, I would use their Wi-Fi to upload videos, and I just got really consistent with it. And I got into a routine during this time. So on one end of the spectrum, yes, I left that job that I was at Equinox. And then it kind of felt like, there could be like some sense of stagnation. Like, I could have done nothing, right? Like there was a sense of like, damn, like I've got all this time on my hand, I need to do something. I could have made the decision, but like, I'm jobless. Like, I don't know, maybe let me just go look for another job and just kind of wait until a job comes. But I tied down on it, and I made sure that I spent a lot of time on my YouTube channel because I knew that was the perfect opportunity for me to grow my channel. So that's exactly what I did. So I definitely took that as an opportunity, and it worked out for me. And let's see. So yeah, so codependency, dependency. Obviously, during that time when I was jobless for a month, I had to ask my family for help for the rent, for that month's rent. So that you could kind of see how like codependency and dependency could come into play. That's how it manifested in my life, because obviously I wasn't working that job anymore. I wasn't making the paycheck anymore. So I needed help to pay for my rent until I got a new job. And that, you got to be careful with that, because some people, they don't really think, they don't really take responsibility for being codependent or dependent. And they kind of expect people to just help them without them, like, putting in work, and without them trying to help themselves. And that can be a dangerous thing, because, at some point you're going to grow up. At some point you're not going to have that help, and you need to figure out how to do that for yourself. For me, thankfully, I have a very supportive family. And they know that I've been working hard, so that's how it paid back to me. So they definitely helped me during that time. But I could see how people could become very codependent and dependent on somebody else to help them if they're not taking, you could say, their growth or their path seriously. What else was there? There was so when it came to the challenges, when it came to like reality and fantasy, I remember I had met somebody, like somebody that was homeless. It was a very strange person, actually. I had ran into someone very intuitively, very, like, it was meant to happen. I was meant to meet this person. I ran into them at a Starbucks, and this person was someone, it was strange actually, this person was someone who used to be into spiritual practices and used to take their path seriously, and had a pretty solid head on their shoulders, and then kind of lost their mind. So I ran into this person at Starbucks, and they were homeless in the sense of like, bouncing back from friend's house to parents' house to grandma's house to friend's house, and kind of just went around Miami just looking for fun, just like fun times all the time. And I remember I ran into this person, and they told me a little, because like they told me they didn't have a place to live. They told me all this stuff, and the person seemed like they kind of lost their mind. Like they didn't seem like they were right there with me. And it seemed like they were living in a fantasy, connecting it back to what the challenges say. So rather than me taking on this energy and the influence of me being in a fantasy, me living, like forgetting what reality is, I saw it manifest through somebody else. So I was able to directly understand that through somebody else that came in my path. And this guy was just living, it was like he was living in a fantasy. Like he was just like okay with not amounting to anything. And he ended up telling me, I went a little bit deeper with him, and I said, what did you used to do? Like, did you used to have a job? Did you used to have like goals in life, like things in that nature? And he said, yeah, like he used to be into spiritual practices, specifically darker practices. He said he used to be like a Christian, and then he got into the darker aspects of his spiritual practices. And he said that kind of screwed his life up. He said he didn't know how to really handle it. He didn't know how to deal with it. And it took him to a place where he didn't know how to come out of. And he kind of just lost his mind and chose to live in a fantasy. So he gave me a great example of what it's like for somebody that starts dabbling in the occult practices and sciences, and then isn't taking their path as serious as they should. Like for someone that's dabbling in these practices just to get ahead in life, just to get a step ahead, just to live a better life, that's okay. But you got to understand, when you start really practicing occult practices, you will eventually start initiating yourself into things that you probably don't understand. And that's the whole point, is to start initiating yourself and then begin to understand what's going on. The information will eventually come to you. The mysteries will eventually be uncovered. As long as you stay consistent, as long as you listen to your intuition, you take care of yourself, you take your path serious, and you do what you got to do. The mysteries will eventually be unraveled to you. But for people that just think you can just get into this stuff and just, win some money because you're starting to work with spirits now, and you're going to get a job promotion, that, like, when you start initiations are tough. There's a lot of challenges that will start to manifest to make you into the person that you're supposed to be, to turn you into the diamond, to crystallize your consciousness and make it as powerful as it can be. A lot of people lose their mind. Like, people don't understand what they're getting themselves into. They thought it was all fun and games until that shit got really real. And this was a great example of somebody who did that and completely lost their mind. Like, dude, this guy was living in a straight fantasy. But it was interesting. That was another manifestation of what this path had to offer. And he was also stagnating. So that also came into there. Came into that as well. Let me see, letting go. So the other qualities is letting go, the quiet before the storm, sacrifice, mysticism, ocean. So yeah, so all of these things, like, this is right when I left my job at Equinox. So it was it was the quiet before the storm, because right after this I ended up getting a job, and that's when I started taking on the sphere of Gavura, which is known to be the most violent sphere on the tree. So right after this experience where I was jobless, I felt, I had some time to myself, I was able to build my YouTube channel. Right after this, like a month after, I got a job at one of the most craziest, chaotic places I've ever been in my entire life. So this was definitely the quiet before the storm. And then also, while I was on this pathway, I was going to the ocean a lot. I was meditating. I was listening to my higher self. I was just literally, like, I didn't know, like, what my next step was other than me building my YouTube channel. And I was just listening to my higher self, and my higher self just kept guiding me to say, build your YouTube channel. That's going to be foundational for you, and the next job that you're going to work is going to present itself to you. You'll find it. Don't worry. Don't stress too much. Don't go and, like, feel like you need to apply to a million places. The next job that you need to work in accordance with your development is going to present itself, and that's exactly what happened. It presented itself to me. Like, it just came to me, and I literally went for an interview, and I worked like 2 days later. And yeah, so that was the essence of this pathway. So yeah, so I think I shared enough with you guys. Obviously, these my experiences go in a lot more depth, and there's a lot more detail, but I gave you the main foundational understanding of what you will and can experience when you go through this type of path working and you initiate through these pathways. All right, so other than that, if you like this video, definitely hit the thumbs up right down there. Oh yeah. And then come over here, hit the subscribe button, and then right above that, hit the notification bell, because I'm posting videos as often as I can. And once again, if you want to gain access to the exclusive videos that I have on my Patreon, you have to at least be a tier 2 member or up, and where you're going to be able to find that is the first link in the description. So definitely make sure you go and check that out if you're interested. Then go to the second link below. It's going to take you to my Streamlabs merch, where I have Hecate Sigil shirt merch. Okay, it's a shirt with a Hecate sigil. You place your order, and they will literally ship it right to your door, just like Amazon Prime would. Then you go to the third link below. It's going to take you to my Facebook community. When you click that link, you're going to see a pinned post that says private group. Click that, request to join. I'll add you in. What I have on there is exclusive content in the form of written and in quotes. Okay, so I'm waiting to build the group up to about 50 people. Right now, I think I'm close to 30. So definitely make sure you request to join. And then once I get about 50 people, I'm going to be posting in there consistently. But other than that, guys, guys and gals, I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day or night wherever you are. And I will see you on the next video. Peace.